Corvus just came out and we're going to try a brand new 2TC. We booted up Resort on Chimps and started with a boat at the top of the pool. Now, we wanted to go with Corvus and a carrier flagship, but we weren't sure how leads and camos were going to shake out since we didn't know what level Corvus would be or what spells he'd have at that point. So we kept our buck at a 000 for as long as possible. Once we could afford him, we placed Corvus down at the very start of the track. This way he could haunt balloons as they entered, getting the maximum amount of mana possible, and his spirit doesn't care where he's placed as it has global range. So this was our setup. Our two towers are very far apart from each other, which is kind of funny for a 2TC. Now, Corvus is actually very strong, especially on a long map like this, so we didn't have to spend his mana on any damaging spells. Instead, we just dumped all of his mana into Nourishment, which gives 2 XP for every mana sacrificed. While tedious, this will help out a ton with getting him to level 20 as he levels up slowly. But with constant mana sacrificing and putting our money into him later, Corvus should get to a pretty high level. Anyway, we continued this until round 24, where we needed camo detection and we did not have the vision spell unlocked yet, meaning we had to make our Buccaneer a 002 to pop the camo balloon. We could have tanked the camo by using Corvus's Soul Barrier spell, but at this point we figured that Corvus would need help with camos, so no matter what Buccaneer we end up going, it'll need Crow's Nest. We kept on with just Corvus and our 002 boat until lead started coming. We got past the first round of them by using a trample spell, but that was on cooldown for the second wave of leads that comes on round 30. And while we could have used spear for these, I figured that we might as well go with a pirate lord just to simplify things. So we upgraded our Buccaneer to a 032 on round 30 with the plans of making it a 052 as fast as possible. We made this guy a monkey pirate on round 34, and saying that this combo was strong is an understatement. I mean, we didn't have a single scare the entire way through the save up process, allowing us to not only power level Corvus using Nourishment, but also afford a Pirate Lord on round 52. And now the playbook was simple. Spend 800 mana on Nourishment, use Soul Harvest or Dark Ritual to get some mana, use Recovery to get Nourishment off cooldown faster, use Soul Harvest or Dark Ritual to get back to 800 mana, and repeat. Was it repetitive? Yes. But Corvus is new enough that I still thought it was fun. On top of this, anytime we had money, we spent it to level him up. So we were leveling him through the natural balloon rounds, by dumping mana into him, and by spending money on him. The trifecta. The hardest part about this whole thing though was not spamming the Pirate Lord's ability, because it was better for us to have longer rounds due to his spell cooldowns. I kept forgetting that though, and we cruised through the rounds. Nevertheless, we got him to round 18 for round 89. Here, I finally moved him to the square that every balloon revolves around, as we'll need his short-range spells soon. Round 90 was a piece of cake, as the Pirate Lord just hooked in all 3 DDTs. The next round, though, is where it became clear that we needed some super ceramic help. And so began the end of Nourishment spamming and the start of keeping aggression and spear on at all times. With these on, 91 and 92 did not get very far, and we were able to keep our mana full between Corvus's Haunt, Soul Harvest, and Dark Ritual. Things were going well, but around 93 is where things got tough. We had to pull in the first 3DTs with the Pirate Lord and cast Vision and Echo to pop the other 3. This combo gives Corvus 2 spirits and allows them both to see camos for a short time, which was just enough to take down the final DDTs. Round 94 was basically free, as all we had to do was use Spear, Aggression, and Storm. This not only let us beat the round, but also let us get Echo off cooldown and max out our mana pool. Additionally, we spent $13,000 to make Corvus hit level 20 in the middle of this round. We took down the final ZOMGs no problem, but this brought us to round 95, the hardest round so far. This took a long time, but what eventually got us through was using the Pirate Lord's hook on the first 3 DDTs. Then we used Dark Ritual on the reinforced mobs to max out Corvus's mana pool, which let us cast Vision, Ancestral Might, Spear, and Storm. This took out almost everything and would have cleared the round if we started with Echo, but we clutched up by casting Soul Barrier to tank any ceramics that got through. Soul Barrier uses Corvus's current mana pool as temporary lives, and we had more than enough mana to go around since I didn't cast Echo. And just like that, we were on to round 96. This actually took a few tries since some good spells were on cooldown, but we managed to get through with Spear, Aggression, Echo, and Ember. And then we got most of his spells off cooldown while our Pirate Lord and Spirit took down the ZOMGs slowly. This, paired with how slow round 97 is, let us have just just about everything ready for the dreaded round 98. It was tough, but how we ended up doing it was starting off the round with an instant Pirate Lord hook on a ZOMG and BFB. Then we waited a few seconds to use Overload, which blows up our spirit, dealing massive damage to nearby balloons. This popped all the ZOMGs and turned some of the BFBs into mobs, essentially splitting up the round and letting us deal with 2 smaller waves instead of all the balloons at once. The second our spirit came back, we casted Echo, Aggression, and Frostbound to deal with all the super ceramics. Then, once all the BFBs made it to the square, we toggled Storm for some extra mob damage and started spam clicking Ritual. The moment this came off cooldown, it maxed out Corvus's mana, allowing us to cast Repel and Trample, which cleared the rest of the round. As for round 99, we hooked in the first 3 reinforced DDTs and then used Storm, Vision, and Ancestral Might to take out the remaining 6. This was barely enough to beat them, but moved us on to round 100. The bad took so long to get to the end of the track that basically everything was off cooldown. We used Soul Harvest once it was in range to boost up our mana pool, and we actually cracked its outer layer without any spells. Once opened, we hooked in the 3 DDTs and used Dark Ritual to give us enough mana for Overload. We were hoping that this would just take out the BFBs, but it left us with a ton of mobs to deal with. Luckily, this ability leaves Bloons that survived the explosion affected by Corvus's Haunt, meaning they were all weakened and we were able to clean them up without any issues. But there is a brand new 2TC using Corvus and a 052 Pirate Lord.